Hey guys, it's River here. So I know I told some of you in chemistry earlier that I would make this video, so in this I'm going to discuss how to do that one Kahoot question, which was for heat transfer, as I have here, and then I'm also going to dive into more like enthalpy problems, like this one here. So first I'm going to start off with the heat transfer one. So this one is, once you understand the components of it, actually relatively easy. So it says a 50-gram sample of water is heated from 25 degrees Celsius to 75 degrees Celsius. And it gives you the specific heat of water, and you just have to find how much heat is absorbed. So this one, let me make that visible for you guys, is figured out using this. Q equals mc delta T. So I'm gonna kind of like go through and explain what each thing is. So Q itself just means heat transfer. So how we know that it is this formula is, one, it gives a specific heat, and two, it's asking about how much heat is absorbed, meaning that heat has to be transferred, hence it is Q equals, or like it is a heat transfer. M in this case just means mass, so for this very specific example that would just be 50 grams. And then we have C. C is just the specific heat, which will almost always be given, and it will normally be for water. Very unlikely you will get it for something other than water on your exam. And then the last is delta T. So delta T is just overall temperature. So what I mean by overall temperature is it's you're taking T final minus T initial to get the correct answer. So now that I'm kind of explaining the components, you guys can pause the video and see if you're able to solve it from here. Okay, I'm going to assume that you guys pause the video, and then I'm going to give you the answer here. So, like I said, it's relatively simple once you kind of understand the components. So M in this case is this 50 grams. C is given as specific heat of water, which is here. And then as for delta T, you just have to take the 75 minus the 25. So I'll kind of add that over here, which should equal 50. So we have 50 grams heat capacity, and then our 50 degree Kelvin. So if you take grams times joules over grams times Kelvin times 50 Kelvin, the kelvins and the grams cancel out, leaving your answer in joules. So whenever it's asking about how much heat is absorbed, it's as easy as just plugging in the numbers. That then brings us on to enthalpy. So this one, I didn't like hide anything, like this is fully just how to do it. Then I'll kind of like go into how to do the answer. So I will actually need a calculator at some point for that. So first, more than likely, you will be given a formula, or like a chemical equation. In this case, it is a combustion equation, which you can tell because it is some sort of carbohydrate plus oxygen yielding carbon dioxide and water. And you just really want to, like with enthalpy, with this kind of problem, you just want to know whether or not it's endothermic or exothermic, and either way, like how many joules it's absorbing or releasing. So let's kind of dive in. So I have the equation down here. So basically delta H is the sum of the products minus the sum of the reactants. So I know that this looks a little bit intimidating, so let me just break it down. So here we have the sum of our reactants. So I'll kind of do this color code for you guys. And then we have the sum of our products. So basically you're just taking the delta H for your products minus delta H for your reactants. So this will all be given, like this table here, that will be given on an exam or even in homework for the most part. You will have the table. You are not expected to memorize all of these numbers. So first up, let's just do delta H of products. So I'm just gonna kind of copy that down here. Okay, probably don't need that highlighted for you guys. Okay, well, if it would stop highlighting. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so we need delta H for our products. So our products are CO2 and H2O. So we have CO2, that should be a negative 394 joules, plus, now here's where you have to be careful, because see how there's a 2 here? That 2 is super important, because you can't just take, for H2O, negative 286. You have to put 2 times negative 286. So if you have to, for some reason, figure out the formula, and like you aren't just given this balanced equation, make sure that you balance it or your answer will be incorrect. You have to be able to take the bigger number and multiply it by delta HF. Oh, sorry, kilojoules. Or kilojoules per mole. That's not entirely the most important thing for you guys, so. So then that equals, and I will get out my calculator, and I would definitely suggest that you guys do the same, just so you can also get some practice to make sure you won't mistype anything on the exam. So it's negative 394 plus 2 times negative 286. Alright, so your answer here should be a negative 966. Which, if for some reason you guys got a different answer and you absolutely are for sure you got it right and I did something wrong, just put it in the comments. Okay, and then that brings us to delta HF of reactants, which I'll again kind of get rid of the highlighting there. So for this we have CH4, or methane, and oxygen. So methane is a negative 75, and we take that plus, there's again a 2 in front of O2, so it'd be 2 times, so it would be 2 times, in this case, just 0. So technically your answer is just going to be negative 75. So to get the total of delta H, you would take reactants minus products. So that will be, if it's products minus reactants, it'll be negative 966 minus negative 75. And just to make sure that I'm getting the correct answer and you guys are too, I'm going to type in my calculator, and I suggest you do the same. Alright, and that will give you an answer of negative 891 kilojoules per mole. And that is technically your answer for how many kilojoules there are per mole. However, like I said, the question's technically asking, is it endothermic or exothermic? The answer here is going to be exothermic, my bad. It's going to be exothermic, and the reason is because of this negative sign here. Basically, if delta H is negative, that means it is releasing the energy. If it's positive, it's absorbing. So a release is exothermic, absorption is endothermic. A good way to think of this is, maybe you guys really like biology stuff, so you kind of already know how to tell. But if you don't, exothermic, think exit. It's the energy it's exiting the system. All right. And that concludes how to do heat transfer and enthalpy. So I hope that this was a helpful video. If you have any suggestions, just put them in the comments. Bye, guys.